Oh, so you can see that red line, that's basically the new plastic main that will go in. There's 14 services on that north side of Broadway, or I mean, the south side of Broadway, north side of the buildings. Go ahead.
Is the current running that same route? It's
Yeah,
just
it's really,
underneath?
it'll be really close, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so we're gonna minimize the damage, the hope is we can stay just to the south of the main that's in the parking lane on that side, so we won't affect the drive lanes. We'll stay in the boulevard on North Oak, get to Broadway, run along that, south parking lane, and then once we get to, West Park Square, it'll run in that parking lane all the way, and it'll dead end right at Main Street for future connection next year when we do Main Street.
And are you talking tearing up concrete or?
There'll be basically, bell holes, so when they cross the service lines, the existing service lines, they have to pothole each spot to see it actually physically go through. Those are the only potholes we're hoping for.
So minimal damage to the parking lane?
Yes.
Okay.
The hope, but we're gonna have 14 running lines for new services into the building, which those could cause a little bit, I mean, hopefully 3 feet wide, so it's fairly narrow.
There would be an actual trench from that parking lane to the building.
All the way to the building,
So it'll be impact to the parking
sidewalk.
as well as the sidewalk when they're doing each buildings.
And those can't be bored, can't be. Not in that case, so typically if they're that tight and there's other utilities in there, they won't even attempt it. It's too dangerous.
Josh, is there a cost to business owners to hook up to that line or is that?
No. We'll have our own, usually it's been Block Plumbing that does the internal plumbing to get that internal piping outside and then we connect to that.
How long will they be out of service?
We won't have any of them for more than a day. By the time they shut them off in the morning, before they leave at 5 o'clock, they'll be back on. We have never gone overnight unless someone's been gone and we can't get a hold of them, and then usually it's the following day they'll relight them, but this is getting close to, the cold time of year, so we will be pretty persistent on getting them all relit right away.
How long the project is that? Days of?
They, just talking to them, the actual work itself, probably 2 weeks. Each service line though can be brought up to the surface, when they're done that day. So I'm hoping the damage is gonna be minimal for parking, so that they'll be able to use it, pretty quickly. Just depends on how much they bite off each day. If it's 4 services, if it's 8 services, I don't know, that's gonna be on the workload. So here's I kind of put a picture in here just so you guys can see what it actually will look like on each building. The top ones are areas where we hope to get some meters outside. The bottom ones are gonna be just regulators. So those are gonna be the ones that the meters there's not enough space on the building to put a meter without obstructing the windows or causing other issues. We have 3 feet to work with from any fresh air intake, ignition sources or door openings or window openings, so we have minimal space to work with. So I did talk to MinOps, they are okay with us just putting regulators outside as long as that shut off is outside the building, above ground. So that allows us to do that, but as we've talked, that getting those meters outside is important if we can.
And each meter will have the power channels.
Yes, that's just required.
So are these meters are not capable of having the electronic metering like you put in the houses and stuff?
They are, but that's not it's the vent on the regulator that's the problem.
Okay.
So what's your plan to work with the business owners? So they're not, I'm thinking of like the train station and that, if you shut them down on a Friday, that's probably not a good thing.
No,
Monday would be optimal.
we've actually been in every one of these basements just in the last month. They're actually going down there tomorrow again to meet with all of them, so, after we talk with the city council, tomorrow we're meeting with the plumber and the contractor, and so they'll start telling them, giving them an idea of when. It really doesn't obstruct anything other than the day that they're working,
Mhm.
you know, for blocking parking, and then they'll stay in constant contact.
Okay.
They've been really good about that. But I know that we discussed those bollards, with Sean about getting some sort of decorative metal to cover it. And that'll be something we're working on later on.
Yeah, we'll work on that, over the fall into the winter here, working with Sean, with Troy, with Greg, who should be, even bringing it to OPED for conversation, getting a lot of input, just a conversation on what these look like, but we're thinking about having some sort of decorative plate in front of them, so they don't look as ugly as they look to you guys right now. These are just renderings right now, just keep in mind that they don't necessarily look like this is the best rendering at the moment. But we're looking at some options to try to beautify it a little, because these ones are on the front of the buildings. There is no back to these buildings, so we're trying to take a little more effort to make it a little nicer on these ones. We don't have what that looks like at home yet. That'll be next.
And if you look at the top two, we kinda had an idea of what the removal would look like in those areas. So you can kinda see, based on what, concrete looks like now and the width that, you know, we'll actually need to get that surface. So some areas will be bigger or larger than others, but most of them are gonna be in that 3 to 4 foot width.
Do you have a projected start date?
We're hoping for the 15th to the 22nd of September. So that way we're in and out of there before the end of October. Before it gets cold.
What's the homecoming week?
The parade is on the 19th.
And we can work around that to make sure we're,
I'm just, parking's at a,
oh yeah.
it's a challenge for the parade, and if we're shutting down 20 parking spots.
When is it? What's the date?
The 19th is
Okay.
the parade downtown.
I'll make sure that they know all that tomorrow too.
Okay, thank you.
One thing we also talked about, working with Sean again, about this, Josh mentioned meetings, we had planned on working with his team to do this in the spring, so that the restoration could all be one joint project to make sure it looks, not so piecemeal, as we're replacing little pieces and some older concrete here and there. So that's the separate side after project to really restore this, but in the meantime, after this, project this fall, the plan is to minimally restore it so that it's safe for the winter and proceed into that next project working with the city on that. So
You're talking not putting concrete back in this fall?
not initially, so that we can save on some of those costs, so otherwise we're replacing concrete and then it's a leak, you break up again for a, much better look in the end, so.
Who's liable for a trip and fall on that?
What would be the 2 minutes?
Oh, okay, so
Yes.
it'll be
Hard
surfaced,
surface,
okay,
yes.
okay,
Yeah, you couldn't leave rock there.
okay, perfect. Just bitumen us as a temporary and then come in next spring.
Right.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we're gonna dovetail into, what we have been working with, OPU line. Like they mentioned, we have been trying to program whatever treatment option we can come up with, for spring. As we were wrapping up our construction season, we just didn't have a lot of staff availability to work through some of the design elements, coordination, what type of screening we're gonna be working with. So, as Christian and Josh mentioned, there is some economy here, so, you know, they mentioned they just need to do minimal removals to pothole, some trench work. We also have minimum restoration standards. You can't just leave a one-by-one concrete piece. We require a minimum of 4. So, and OPU always works with us on those, restoration projects and ensuring that they're meeting our standards too. When we were approached by them through their contact with MinOps, we have this, you know, this limbo, this time period where, hey, we're not really ready for design, we haven't even been able to present anything to council, it's not budgeted. So, you know, how do we work together and try to make this a cohesive project that we're not duplicating spending by requiring, you know, our minimum standards were put back, which would be a lot more than what we're currently planning, so that we're getting some of that maximization of our whether it's user rate dollars or taxpayer dollars. And so when we initially talked through this, just with the amount of tree grades and dead trees that we've had on this block, the old exposed aggregate, the number of partial panel, partial strip replacement within that sidewalk, it mostly not being ADA compliant, being able to maximize some of the dollars that OPU would be spending for this restoration, for that restoration work. If we could capitalize on that, make some minimal improvements that a lot of gain for us, with also maximizing the use of OPU's dollars for that restoration work. The first one we have is basically what is, you know, the extent of OPU's work. They do have to connect down into Main Street as part of this project. And are you able to do that as part of this, or do you need to do that when Main Street's under construction?
We can't connect to Main Street, but we'll get stuck to that portion.
So you can't make that connection until Main Street project goes, that the county is doing. But what we have before you is basically, hey, we're gonna replace all the sidewalk, replace all the curb, and that first panel, try to get, full ADA compliance for this portion. Get some, you know, complete sidewalks, not piecemeal, making it look, like the rest of our portions of downtown, right? That was our minimum, right? What we're estimating is roughly about $250,000 to do this work. We have not put any costs to what restoration work would be required for OPU. Just throwing a number out, somewhere between probably $25,000 and $50,000 for the potential cost for that restoration work. Ballpark number, so try to utilize those dollars for what they would be putting back for restoration work to actually delivering a project that looks at it from a holistic picture. And the OPU will tell you that, yes, this is what we plan for, but as we get into construction, we're gonna remove here, here, and here, and it expands in scope. So, being able to get a uniform sidewalk, ADA compliant, and then also working with OPU to get some of that screening input rather than just having those dollars put in. We worked through a number of other options as well. If we can go to the next one, this is both sides. You know, when we talked to City Administrator Tuma and asked City Administrator Lucy, well, should we be doing both sides? Make equitable treatment for business owners downtown. Property owners, it's a much more substantial cost, at just under $600,000. Again, this is unfunded, this is not planned, trying to make the best of the situation, with OPU's work. We've also been, getting a lot of complaints about the mid-block crossing that was removed a number of years ago. This aerial photo is updated at least to this spring, before some of the landscape improvements have gone in on our new green space connection between our Vine Street parking lot and Broadway. That is a good opportunity to provide connectivity from our new amenity, our new resource in the Vine Street parking lot and connecting into another part of downtown. So looking at it from that perspective, adding in a mid-block crossing again, we really need to shorten up that crossing distance, very similar to what we did in Cedar, getting those shorter crossing paths, so we can get pedestrians out and visible for a mid-block crossing. Final is taking the entire thing. So, not much difference between this one and the previous one, other than we get a full replacement of the roadway for about another $100,000. So, wanted to present this to you tonight, get initial thoughts, feedback on this project, what we can do to help maximize and utilize the work that OPU is doing right now, and making it better for our downtown residents. Yes,
So you'll have to, help me with my memory here a little bit, but when we did North Cedar, one of the really big deals was, pipes for fire suppression systems.
that's correct.
And we didn't wanna come back and dig up a brand new sidewalk and add it later. Do you have any idea how many of these buildings are good already, or is that something to think about when we do this too?
That's a great thing to think about. It is on our list of many things that we just haven't been able to coordinate yet.
Okay.
I doubt OPU has that information off the top of their head, but no, absolutely right, especially if we go for a more substantial option, if that's what we choose to go with. All things that we need to consider.
Right. We just don't wanna dig up the sidewalk. Hey,
So what is our impact on parking then, in this scenario?
In this scenario, you're gonna lose about a handful of stalls on either side, 3 to 5, on either side to incorporate that pump out. So we've also had some requests for accessible parking, which we can, we can't just make work, roadways too steep currently, right? So with an option like this, we could incorporate, more compliant ADA parking as well around the street.
So you're talking losing 5 or 6 on both sides of the street? Would it not be cheaper just to purchase 2 of the flashing crosswalk lights and leave it as is?
It's a very long crossing. I think from staff standpoint, we would support putting in flashing lights that
Which is longer, Oaken School or this one?
Open School. That is a good question I have off the top of my head.
Well, Federate one's gotta be. That's gotta be longer, as long or longer than this one?
Correct, with Main Street redesign, it's gonna be dramatically reduced and all else as well.
so are these sidewalks getting wider and the roads getting a little skinnier? Cause it's a big, big road.
It is, and we're gonna, if we adhere to our parking stall length requirement within zoning ordinance, we can shave about a couple feet off of either side.
Mhm.
It's about 2 feet each side, plus or minus. It is very wide, which is why it's not as safe, especially when you have vehicles that are, blocking pedestrians, or other, uses of crossing that block.
Dave will tell you as our historian here that way back in the day, they had cars parked in the middle of the street down there. Those pictures?
Buggy.
Backwards.
Sean, do you have a money in your budget for this, or is this something that
It's
is
unfunded.
unfunded and
It's unfunded. You know, some of the options, we'd have to work with elders or municipal advisors on what level of work would constitute reconstruction. So we could bond for that money. We have two planned roadways for our annual street utility that we could push out further just for the timing of this project.
is it, I'm thinking it did just for graphic purposes, but it's, I'm assuming it's just straight concrete, it's not like this little aggregate cut or something, right? Or is that?
Correct,
texture?
yeah, we just try to differentiate street versus sidewalk, yes, no,
It's not-
it would be
not-
regular,
okay.
finished concrete. No, we're trying to get rid of that. Starting to match, we do have to do replacements.
And do you have, like, trees planted in?
That would be, the goal, is matching similar species to what we have in downtown, in Cedar.
John, the bump outs there, for lack of a better term, are they gonna be ADA compliant so that a wheelchair could just get right on?
Absolutely,
Okay,
it's the whole purpose of, yep.
so you're down by the Legion there, aren't you? Or right next to that?
Yeah, pretty much in the front door.
Okay.
Would we put a hanging light over it like North Cedar? Those are kind of popular.
Don's had a question
Oh,
for
I'm
5
sorry.
minutes here.
John, you said it's unfunded at this point. If we did both sides, it's 600K?
Yeah, we can match to that. So if we did both sides of the pump out, it's about 725. If we just did parking panel, like first parking panel, which will allow us to play with those grades and the curb line, get ADA compliance, at least on the sidewalk, maybe not going to allow us to get accessible parking on the street, that's a little under 600, yes.
So, and then if you included the road, so did you say that was another 100K?
Yeah, it's about 150, so it's 870.
So if you did all in both sides and the road, it's.
Yeah, 870, yep, it's very small.
Okay. And when would you do the engineering?
So that's the next question, or next thing that we need to figure out once we get some direction. We would be designing over winter, have to go out as soon as we can for bid. Ideally, would be 26 construction, so we're not dealing with the temporary patching. We'll hold up, but we don't plan on putting it on for a 5-year patch, right? So that would be ideal. If we wanted to look at other options, we could do that as well, and maybe, further, and we might change what we do from a patching standpoint.
As far as May, when is that?
It's a 26 project.
So we could theoretically be doing both property and simultaneously?
That is correct.
I don't wanna lose parking spots. Parking spots are important in the downtown business district. Council has said over and over, we're trying to revitalize downtown. I don't think you do that by taking more parking out. To do it next year, when we're gonna lose all of those parking spots on Main Street, that creates an even larger challenge. Broadway may or may not be accessible, brings up another challenge. Got a lot of challenges there, and I'll throw another one, we're trying to find $2 million worth of budget, and this is another 870.
Not to make matters worse.
970.
Not to make matters worse. But we are dealing with vaults on these properties as well. We required all vaults to be removed as part of the Cedar Avenue project, and that adds in another complex layer. From a right-of-way management standpoint, we would like those removed. We would like those risks, those liabilities removed from the city's perspective. And with that, we required, you could pay up front, but a lot of properties went for special assessments on Cedar Avenue to have their walls removed. So that adds in another complex layer to this project as well. So luckily, we're gonna be working on Main Street with also, which also has walls as well. So we can kind of tag team that, approach them at the same time. With the consultant that we're working on with Cedar County's Main Street project.
Okay, we're at 6 o'clock, we've scheduled that, Mr. Klecker at 6. Any other quick questions for Sean?
Sean, could you share these slides with us?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it says it right there. See, that's estimated cost. So we're now, Troy Klecker, Community Development Director, going to just have a discussion on proposed housing development incentive and a retail incubator at Rose Street Center. Troy?
All right, first I wanted to touch base on, what's on the council tonight about the residential housing development incentive program. I spoke briefly at our budget meeting, last Tuesday about it. And this is a new program, initially designed to incent, mainly single-family residential development to happen. We're looking at a loan program that would fund the equivalent amount of what would be park servicing in the streets, curb and gutter, sidewalks, mainly, and then, finance it over a 5-year period, with an interest rate of 2% over the city's bond rate. Have liens on the property, so when the lots are sold, that we would get payment at that time for that portion of that lot, with a balloon payment in that 5-year period. So, we also have on the agenda, a loan agreement with Mineral Springs Estates to, in fact, finance that portion of it for, that development. And that was a key piece of the puzzle for them to, move ahead with this project. So, any questions on that? There were some questions about where the funding, should come from, and, you know, we don't have it in the budget. We do have, I guess my recommendation would be, utilizing some of our reserve funds that are, beyond our policy of 45% reserves on hand. And utilizing those dollars to do this, for the one on the agenda, it's a little over $700,000. And it's for 5 years, so 5 years that will be put back in there, but we won't have it available in our reserves for anything else. So, I put in here, it'd be nice to have it available for next year as well. And I would probably qualify that by saying if we have the finances to do that. The situations change, but typically we would have, a lot of lead time on this, so like with Mineral Springs Estates here, we've been working with them for a couple of years now to put this together, and so, really to do one next year, there's probably one possibility for next year, a property that's
out once the work is complete, or before they start the work?
It, we set it up that all the work has to be completed. Okay, so we have to see the receipts of all the work being done. The development agreement, requires them to have, a bond, to ensure that everything is done, we'll inspect everything. Everything has to be done before money is actually.
So then when we pay that money out, then that would be the trigger, that would be the 5 years from the day we pay them money, then I would think their work would be complete at that time.
Correct.
So 5-year window starts.
And in our reality, if we look at timelines, I mean, there's a possibility they could start on the work yet this fall. Probably wouldn't get very far. The bulk of everything would be done next spring into summer. So we'll be looking at towards the end of summer, early fall, before everything would be done.
Is it a one-time payment, or they can get payments through the course of the construction? Can they submit receipts for, I don't know, gravel work and then pay out that much?
So we need to see it done.
Please don't, okay.
So the one area we had discussion on this morning in our meeting was, in 1.2.2, the staff are recommending funds be borrowed from reserve funds, which I understand you explained that. By passing it that way, that doesn't lock us into having to do that, is that correct? Because there may be alternative ways to fund that rather than just taking it out of the checking account?
I think we do need to stay within the law of how to use these funds, and so that was with TAF attorney, Troy, so I just wanna make sure that, we don't get into any, public use of funds, or using funds for, like, if we were paying for the pavement, we wouldn't want a bond for that, because then that would trigger, the use of those funds would need to be publicly bid, correct, Troy? And so we wanna make sure that we're using these funds, or allowing this loan program to work within the letter of law.
Yeah, it does not have to be from reserve funds. We can borrow from different funds, although I don't know that helps us at all. But yes, the way this was set up was, to expedite the development process and making sure that everything could be done with one contractor to do the whole thing. When we did this years ago, when we financed the streets previously, we did it, as a city project. We publicly bid it, we bonded for that work, we assessed the, properties for that work. That usually means that all of that needs to be done a year after, cause it's really 2 projects now. So this was all set up to make this one project, get houses built quicker, not make it our project, make it their project, and we're just a financing tool for them. to
Right.
make it.
And I like the program, I just think by the time we start getting bills next spring or summer, probably, possibly Emily or Ehlers or somebody will have a idea where, hey, we can use this money instead, so it's not coming straight out of the
Well, and
reserves.
Ehlers was involved in those initial conversations. We talked to them first on how to do this. And then we brought in, TAF to devise how they actually referred us to legal counsel on how to do it. So I don't think there's any secret financing way of how to do this. We're borrowing the money, I guess we wouldn't, nothing in here says it has to come from reserve funds.
That's what I'm trying to nail down.
Yeah,
By
We're
passing
just
this,
saying-
we're not absolutely having to do it this way.
yeah, it does not, it's coming from the city, but nothing in here says it has to come from this specific fund.
That was my concern as well. The assumption that we could just take it out of reserves. We've got some serious challenges with our potential levy. And we may have to look at reserves for our levy to drop that, and, you know, I hope there's a second option for money, because it may not be there in the reserves, depending on what we need to do as a council in order to pass a budget that works for the citizens.
Or in public.
Or both. Any other questions for Troy? You know, I would say, talking to me this morning, we all support this program, it's a great program. It's just like everything else, where's the funding source?
Well, and I'll just mention too is, I mean, everything in the budget is to meet, a goal or priority we have in our strategic plan. You know, this is no different. And, you know, we have to be creative in how we get some things done. Getting housing done is, I mean, we need a private developer to do it. So this is not, although we're trying to do a small development, on our own, and we're gonna, on Partridge Avenue, and we're in the midst of trying to put that together. It's a tall order to try to get that done. So, the fact that we have a private developer that's willing to put in, the bulk of, the infrastructure and build houses, which is exactly what we want to be able to do. It does, require us to stick our neck out a little bit. This is about as safe a way as we can do it. I think we've got, security built in on how to recoup those costs. But yes, for a 5-year period, we're gonna have to loan money out, to be able to do it, which means we don't have access to those dollars for that period of time. But if the outcome is we get the start of a new housing development going, if it starts, I mean, this is one phase of it. In total, there'd be over 300 units. If this was used to get 300 and some units built, and we had loaned out money over a 5-year period, I think in the end, we'd say, wow, that was really a good move. So, I just want everybody to.
If they build one house in 5 years, we say, wow, that was a really
Then
bad decision.
you could say, Troy, that was a stupid idea.
Nate?
Well, and that would be my next question on repayment. Is there a lien on each property, so as each property sells, we're getting paid back? It's not as though they can float as long as they want until the end of the term. When each parcel sells, we're getting reimbursement.
Yes.
So it's not like 5 years we're sitting on it for 5 years, it's just up to 5 years.
Right, so some of that money will be coming in as soon as they build and sell.
Right,
Sell houses.
right. But it's not like they're gonna take advantage of that loan for the whole 5 years, we're not getting any money, it's gonna come in as they sell.
Correct.
And Jim and I talked about this earlier today too, and they said, there is some risk there on our part, but the fact of the matter is, even if there does end up being some responsibility on the city's part, which we still hope there isn't, we have something to show for it. I mean, there's still an asset there that we didn't get. It's not as though the money went out and we never received anything for it.
Right.
So I agree, it's about as safe as it's gonna be. Something like that.
Brent?
Just a question, so on the program guidelines, do we need language in there that basically it's a case-by-case basis? I mean, it'd be great if we have 5 developers walking the door to Rollins, you have the same program that we just gave out tonight, and we don't have funding to fund 5 different developers. I think we need some language in there that say that it's council discretion based on availability of funds to fund these
Well,
projects.
and I would stay away from the council's discretion, because it can be interpreted as you pick, because we have local developers, and, we give it to the out-of-town one, but we're not gonna give it to the local one. And we had some discussion at our department meeting, this morning about it, but adding the wording, you know, number 8, I've got, you know, this program would run through December 31st of 2026, and then we could add, provided the city has funds to do so. Still makes it available.
Yeah.
But we can, the response can be, sorry, we don't have funds to do it, first time, so.
Yep.
But you know, it is a carrot, for developers, and so knowing that the council is willing to do it if they have funds is motivation for them to try to put something together here. So, when you say at the discretion, then be like, well, I'm not gonna go through the effort here if I don't know if the city's are trying to do it, so.
But, so, with that being said, what mechanisms are we gonna put in place so if the second and third one goes in, we have the money for that? Because taking out of our reserve, that may or may not be feasible in the future.
It may not,
So,
and that might be a means to say,
you know, we've had 3 years to stop money and we haven't done it in the last 3 years. And as we look forward, if this catches on, what do we do?
yeah. The whole point of this was to jumpstart housing. It was not to subsidize every housing project that comes before us in the next decade. It is to jumpstart it. So, we start with one, you know, and if they get up and going, maybe there's enough there to do another project, maybe not. But even if we get just this one going, you know, now we've got a development, and again, this is phase 1 of like 6 phases they have that could ultimately be over 300 lots. So this is the ideal situation. If you wanna jumpstart a lot of housing, this is the one to do it, because there's smaller ones that are 20 lots, and yes, that is good to help out there too, but this has got the potential that once they're invested in it, you know, they can keep going, and we can get a lot more done.
Well, this doesn't exist in a vacuum, you're growing the tax base. So have we projected the anticipated tax base growth, revenue, purely from that perspective?
I do not know.
We're now growing the tax base fairly significantly from what we
Yes.
did in the past. Which, if it starts off well, that should start to kind of perpetuate the necessary funds to
I'm
keep it going
concerned.
if it works.
I'm concerned, if it doesn't go,
Right.
we've tied up $750 million out of our reserves. That, it's no longer available. And we may or may not get compensated the way we expect we would from a bankruptcy judge. Doug?
Jenna or Mark, do we need that notation put in here as Troy said it? If funds are available before we vote on this tonight?
I think when, the agenda item for that program is presented, that you add that terminology to it. Recommend approval with the additional wording, or provided the city has funds to do so.
It is in there?
It's not in here right now, but if you make that in your motion,
Oh,
that
gotcha.
will get added in.
But with that language, wouldn't it be presumptive of the next developer? Well, you took reserves last time, you're still at 49%, you can still do it again. How can we say no to it if we need to?
I think Kevin can also do it by justification of what we have on coming down the chute, where do we stand on a reserve policy, what's our numbers compared to that? And so there's a few pieces I think that can play into saying that the financial management plan doesn't show us having that reserve balance at 45%.
I just wanna make sure that,
Yeah, you're not obligated to do anything, because this in itself doesn't obligate you. It's the actual loan agreement that you will be approving that is, the legal piece of everyone's obligation to it. This is just a way for us to promote, to developers to try to get them interested in it, and we will work with them on their plans to get it done. And we will say from day one is, yes, this is what's available right now, provided that there's money to do it. And, you know, we will work, with finance and the council to understand, you know, do we have finances there or not? This is not someone's gonna come in and propose something tomorrow. This is probably over a 6-month period of working with us on doing the project, putting all the numbers together. So no one's gonna jump up and say, hey, I'm ready to do it, you're not gonna approve it. There's a long process in which we work with them on it, so we will make it perfectly clear, you know, if we have monies to do it, we can do it. If it's a small project, 10 lots or something like that, you know, it may not be a ton of money out of our pocket, it might be worth us doing it, you know, so.
Well, I would anticipate if we're, another large one come up, we're contracting with Ellers, I would expect Ellers to provide an opinion on that. That takes us a little, you know, it gives somebody else from Delta looking in saying, looking at the project, looking at what's available, we have coming, we can have a relatively unbiased opinion coming from them as well, if we get to that point where it's a question as to whether or not we have the available funds.
And there might be situations where, you know what, we can't finance all of the hard surfacing for the gutter, but we can finance X amount to it. Does that help you at all? Well, yeah, that would help. Okay, so, I mean, I think we've got a ton of control, on the next one as to whether we do it into what level.
Don McCann.
Kind of piggybacking on what Nate said, I don't know enough about the loans that cities do, but is it possible to discount the loan and sell the loan if we need to? I mean, other businesses do that, where you get a home loan, the bank sells it to another bank. I don't know if that's a feasible deal, or can Ellers look at that? I don't know.
That'd probably be a question for Ellers.
Yeah, so we'll have a lien on the property.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll have some security in our interest in the loan. So we will, nothing can happen to that lien unless we agree to something with that lien. So I think we're always gonna be in a position at the table to, do something. I mean, there might be scenarios where it makes sense to lose a little if some contractor comes in and said, I'll take it and I'll build 10 houses right away, but give me a little something there, you know, I don't know.
And that's, I'm just wondering whether you can ask Ellers, hey, is it possible to do that? Because I know banks will do that. They package home loans, they sell it to another one, they take a discount on it, get the cash in.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we've done it before.
But again, I think that might be something we could look at as well.
Yeah. The intent is for us to not be in that position, so.
Exactly, we don't want to be in the home loan business, but
Any questions on this?
So,
Because this will be on tonight's agenda,
Yeah.
so let's get the questions,
I like
as many
this,
as we can now.
I like this because when people ask, what are you doing to get more housing? We've got, we've got their existing lot incentive program, we've got this, we've got an example of where we've loaned money to get this going. We've got real life examples of how we are trying to get more housing in town.
Kevin, we have one more topic for Troy,
Yes.
so, okay.
That's why I was checking. Any more questions? Hearing none, Troy, you've got one last thing. It's the development incentive and retail incubator at the Rose Street Center, formerly the school district building.
Yes, which is still owned by the school district, and Sean Williams and Lisa Cochran gave a presentation, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, about the idea of a retail incubator in that Rose Street Center. And the school district has been, so the overall plan, I'll refresh everybody's memory here, is the school district would retain ownership of the building. Under the plan, we would lease the building, the property, the way it's set up is annually, for 1 year to be renewable annually. But I think in discussions that we've had, we were talking about a 3-year period. Let's give this a try for 3 years. If it doesn't work out, you know, we all go our separate ways, nothing lost there. So we would be leasing the property, and the reason we're doing that is so it qualifies for contributed services through Owatonna Public Utilities, which really is the only way this thing works, because we're trying to save costs on everything to give the businesses going. Then there would be a sublease from the city to the business development, the Owatonna Area Business Development Center. And they would be the main tenant from us. They would then work with the Chamber of Commerce on running kind of the retail portion of it. They would run a lot of the business development stuff out of the space. And there are some improvements that would be needed. They are looking at potentially some contributions from a contractor, as well as potentially a grant from the Owatonna Foundation, and potentially an EDA forgivable loan as ways of trying to get some of the improvements needed. There's not a ton that's needed. Some of the handicap accessibility to the restrooms and in the restrooms is the main portion that would be needed. There would be some retail shops, kind of 10 by 12, 12 by 12 sort of shops that would be in the parking lot. This is modeled after Batavia, Illinois, which a number of people did a road trip there just a week or two ago, and they're doing it very successfully there. And so they would have the retail assistance through the Business Development Center. They would have the ability to do an indoor booth area to get started. Once they graduate from that, they can move to a shop that would be out in the parking lot. And then, once they graduate from that, the hope is that they would then move into one of our storefronts downtown. So, this is all a way to try to combat where retail is sort of been heading, since everybody can get whatever they want at their doorstep. The next day, we're losing a lot of retail. And this isn't, the facility itself will be a retail attraction, because there will be numerous booths and stores there that will be interchanging, new things happening there all the time. So that in itself will be a retail attraction downtown. But the hope would be that then they graduate and take up some of their storefronts downtown. And we would hope that building owners would look to these businesses as potential tenants and even incent them to go into their space with reduced rents or something like that as well. So the mechanics of it are, the school district would own it, we would lease it, we would then sublease it to the Business Development Center. The school district has, their facilities committee has approved this, and it's going before the school board, I believe, on the 22nd of September. So my thought would be to bring it to the EDA at their meeting next week, on the 10th, and then approved there, it would come to city council on the next meeting, our next meeting here on September 16th. And then it would go to the school board for their final approval. And we have it set up that the lease would start October 1. So I just want to brief you all on that, answer any questions you have, any concerns you might have, so that you're aware when it comes on the agenda of the whole situation.
It does.
Property tax liability on that property, you know that?
Well, when it's school district, they don't pay taxes on it now, and we would not either, since we own it and we're renting to another nonprofit, so.
Even if there's for-profit business operating on it?
I think because the tenant is, I will double check that.
Because like we're paying at the incubator, even though that building's.
I don't believe we are.
Did we change that? We used to. That was the biggest payment the incubator had, was the property tax.
Let me check on that.
So unless something changed, because I know that was a big deal with the incubator.
Negative that way.
What's that?
What? Negative that way. So I just have a comment. Really good friends of ours, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they were invited to do an incubator program like this. No utilities, free use of the space for 3 months. From, I think, October through the end of the year at the Mall of America. It's a program they have, and it's very successful. And you know, they figured out how to do it up there. It's a program that you can really figure out, and do you have a sustainable business? Figure out what your challenges are. I think it's great that we're gonna hopefully do a 3-year run and make a determination after that, so that's my own comment. Brent? Dave? Nothing. Doug? Huh?
I'm trying to write one more to it. Troy, are we bringing this forward on the 16th and then?
Yes, my intention would be to have the lease with the school district and then also the sublease with the Owatonna Business Center on the next council.
No, I just. Go ahead, Brent.
Troy, you mentioned the goal was to move people out into like a shop, like in the parking lot.
Yes.
So, is that like structures out in, or maybe explain that?
Yeah,
A shop.
so they are, it's a bad terminology, but everyone can understand what, picture it, it's a shed, like a 10 by 12 shed. And actually they'd be built by the high school, building class. So we're trying to incorporate, in the school, this is what really sold the school too, is we're incorporating the students, so it does have some school district benefits to it. They'd be building, the sheds, they'd be placed in the parking lot, so we're looking with Ken back on, how to do that and meet building code and meet accessibility stuff, and so there are some ways of doing that. There'd likely be some sort of boardwalk, that would meet the compliance stuff in there, but, yeah, so they would graduate to that. The intent is that they not stay there for more than 1 season. This will be done seasonally, from April, May-ish through, potentially through the holidays, Christmas time. So,
So there's no cost for the city to build these ships?
Nope. no, we're really, accessing a number of, groups and, funding sources to be able to do this, so we are not on the hook for much of anything else.
It's a great partnership.
Any more questions,
No,
Brent?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Any other questions for Troy? Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, Jenna, have you got updates on the preliminary 2026 budget?
Not at this time, we'll talk more next week about that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Boards and commissions, Brent, anything? Nate?
No, sir.
Dave? Doug? Tom? Take pictures.
Did you want Deanna to show you how to sign up for those newsletters? Or do you want to?
Let's
sit
get
there
through
and-
this part first. I do have a question. We've got the tree thing this Friday. I'm concerned with it being at Central Park. Federated works till Troy, 4:30. How many, do you know how many trees have been spoken for? I'm concerned about cars stacking, employees not being able to access the roadway to get out. I wish they would have put it at Brown Park or Manthey Park, where,
I can ask, T-Dub if he knows, if he knows how many have been spoken for. They are on the west side of, when I saw the map.
Right, but depending on, I mean, if they're stacked on Main Street, well, we have a fire hall right there. And they need to get to where they have to get to. Stacking could potentially be a concern.
Yes, I can check in with TW to see how many they've had.
Okay.
Cause you had to register for a jury, I believe, and so, I can check in to see how many they have
I
had.
have one.
Me too.
So with that, Emily, we're talking about, by the way, I did it myself yesterday, all by myself. I got my first update today with police and a lot of car break-ins over the weekend. So,
You did receive that one, Kevin?
yes,
Okay, great. Thanks for asking me to join you, briefly. I can walk you through how to get to the place where you sign up to receive any number of things that you're interested in. There's a long menu which you can pick from. And I don't seem to be able to get my screen up there, so if you wanna follow along on your screens, I can walk you through it. Just go to owatonna.gov, and any community member can do this.
But Deanna, will you plug in, Brent knows what the cord is.
Well, it's a quarter.
Oh, the real thing.
Right, might have to.
Jen,
Yes. I'll just stand.
something, yeah.
He's our assistant.
Can't be
Wow. What else do you have?
Snacks under there.
Okay, let's see if we can make some magic happen. Okay, so this is our homepage, and down here you see a big icon that says notify me. I don't know if you guys can do this while we're going here. You click on that. Go to the notify me page. You need to sign in with your email address, which I'm not going to do because I've already signed up to receive a bunch of things. Once you do that though, do you see this list of all the things you can pick from? Anything from specific items pertaining to brook tree, heating, fire, public works.
Hey, Deanna, can we just check, did everybody get to where this page, are you good, Dave?
I'm not there.
You're not there?
I'm on the street by the old Tyson.
You know, I can always help you if you wanna call me or stop in.
We'll get him
Your
checked.
device.
Yeah, he'll help him.
Okay.
It's 15 more.
Got it.
Does this mean you're gonna call more, Kevin? Now that you're all connected and?
I could have run this portion, but,
Take it away.
nope. I will pass, because I muddled through it, but by the time you get to the end, it's like, okay, it all makes sense.
It's pretty intuitive, once you get in here and dig around.
Yeah.
So once you enter your email address and hit notify me sign in, that's where you'll get to pick all of these items. And you see a little tiny envelope, that means you're gonna sign up to receive an email for that item. Next to the envelope is an icon that looks like a little tiny cell phone. If you'd rather get a text and or an email, you can choose that. So for instance, the three items under notify me that are general city communications would be these three that begin with the word communications. So it's either city newsletters, city videos, or news releases. If you were to subscribe to receive all of those, you would receive everything the second it goes out. And we have now started to use this channel to send out our news releases, so you get it right along with the media. The second they get it, you'll also have it. The rest of the items are more specific to a business area.
I think Doug, subscribed to all of them, so if he wants to unsubscribe, he just goes and connects back to say,
So it's been a long time since yesterday when I did this. Do we have one on, I'm gonna use Lynn Drive, for example, do we have a Lynn Drive update on there as a construction project?
You know where you find that one would be under the one that says Public Works engineering? No, I'm sorry, Public Works,
That's correct.
yeah, engineering.
Yep.
And then we did have one specifically.
So then it breaks it down further from that.
Correct.
Perfect.
You can look on previous messages and it shows historical, we provide weekly updates for all of our projects. And, general public works information as well, when we do, specifically list out construction projects.
You could see the backlog of the messages that were sent under that one subscription. Same for just the facts, that goes out every Friday, so you would get that right when that goes out. But of course, the ones I want you to sign up for would be city newsletters, city videos, and news releases.
So when you get everything checked that you want, you're good, you don't have to say enter now, or,
It will run you, the first time you do it, it will run you through a little exercise where you have to get something in your email that says, yep, I agree to this. And then, once you do that, then it will execute the subscription.
does it do that just on its own?
Yeah.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, everything you sign up, you get an individual email, so if you sign up for 30 things, you're gonna get 30 emails. But it's just verification, so it's,
So I got a bunch of boxes checked now, so now I just close out of the app and that'll happen, or do I have to do anything else?
I just got like 15 emails.
You're in.
you'll get a bunch of emails.
Yeah.
And most of them are asking for money to be sent to China.
I'm gonna give it all. I'll in the newsflash.
How did you get to newsflash there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
Yep.
So they're different, so Brooktree, we wanna do Brooktree Golf Course, and then the top it's called Brooktree Course Objects, so
So,
they're different.
they are different. They're different lists, you want both, sign up for both. The newsflash items are the items that appear on our homepage in that scrolling view. And it's usually very brief and links to something else. In the case of retreat, your newsflash would probably link to your notified me updates. If that makes sense?
Yep.
So, like the calendar section. I thought there would be one for council there, but I don't see that. Newsflash, under newsflash, you probably wanna sign up for the one that says home hyphen news and announcements. That's the real estate on our homepage. The big topics that get featured on our website in that scrolling carousel. If you sign up under the agenda center for any of these items, you'll get, for instance, the city council agenda when that goes out. How you guys doing? Does that all make sense?
Yep.
We're just gonna.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay? Any questions? Feel free to pop in or call or email, let me know how I can help.
So Deanna, half of your cord stayed with him.
Answer here.
You lost your adapter.
Oh.
Oh.
One to Rochester. Thanks, Deanna, appreciate it. So if nothing else, we will adjourn until 6:59.